Welcome to another episode of the Peak Potential Success Show. My name is Fong-PPSS. I'm an entrepreneur, business strategist, real estate investor, speaker, and also best-selling author. And every single day, I help others unlock potentials and guide them to succeed. Today on the show, we have a very fascinating guest. I had the pleasure of introducing him at a recent event. And when I saw his name, I thought of two things. Number one, his last name sounds like a very, very good dessert. And number two, his list of achievements and accomplishments is a mile long. And I couldn't wait to hear him speak. Once I heard him speak, he was energetic, very passionate, and he was so down to earth and somebody I absolutely want on my show. And I'm very, very excited today to have him here today. So he is also a Rotarian. He's a chair of so many different foundational boards, author of 11 books, a veteran, a former Camp David GM. He is a White House chef. In fact, he is still wearing his uniform right now. And I'm very, very excited to hear some stories about that. A hotelier, museum CEO, and a global connector master of so many different languages. So please welcome Mr. Martin CJ Mongiello.
Thank you, Fong. Thank you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning to everybody out there. Thank you for that seated ovation.
Well, thank you very much for being here. Great to see you,
Fong.
It's great seeing you as well. And yeah, I'm very, very excited because I have so many different questions about so many different things, not just about the marketing and business stuff and world connecting stuff that you do, but you cook for some of the most elite people in the world. And I'm sure there's some fascinating stories about that. But before we jump into those questions, tell us your story. How did you go from little Martin to chef to all this other stuff that you do?
I always tell people it was like Mozart, playing concert recitals at the age of 5 and them trotting him over at the age of 8 years old to play for the King and Queen of England. Just it's one of those things everybody kind of sort of sees with a kid. It's like this kid is going to be doing something regarding this. And I think with our daughter, it's obvious she's going to be an artist. When she was about 4, she discovered a Chinese clay that we would order from China. It was like this air soft clay, unlike clays we had ever played with here, the very heavy clays in America. It's obvious this kid is going to be an artist. I think I'm no different. Everybody knew I was the laughingstock of the family, Fong. And they would go into the kitchen and see what little Martin was doing. And it was kind of weird. They were like, what the hell's he doing in there? Just go in there. He's got like a kitchen towel set up as a placemat, and he's making his dinner. And he's got like about 15 pieces of silverware out there on the left and the right. And just ask him why he has like 6 forks. He'll tell you for each of his courses. And I had the 3 wine glasses, Fong. Wow. I had the 3 glasses. I had the water glass. I had another glass, a wine glass. It had apple juice in it for the white wine. And I had the red wine glass with the grape juice in it. So, I mean, I was the laughing stock of my family as a kid. It was very obvious this kid is going to be doing something in food and beverage. So, I think it was obvious to everyone. That's how I got started.
At what point in your childhood did you realize that food and beverages in that area is something you're going to be doing for the rest of your life?
Yeah, I think when I started inventing food products and selling them door to door around the age of 7.
Oh, wow.
And I was known as a neighborhood terrorist. Even people began to, like, from a half mile away, they would see, oh my God, it's that Mongiello kid. They would shut the doors up and I'd be up there pushing the button. They would not answer the door because I was like a neighborhood terrorist. Every month I was out on the street selling something. I had the little box. I baggied up my own items with food items that I would create and make. And then I started doing, the different colored labels with the ingredients, and you give things a name. It's like, I don't know why I was doing that. I was just fascinated with the capability to sell. And it was like, I can buy these crocks of cheese from Wisconsin and resell them and make money. I can make my own food items. At one point, I was selling even newspapers, a newspaper called Grit Newspaper. So I was a neighborhood terrorist, man.
Very early on, you were already in entrepreneurship and business and sales and marketing and inventing food.
Yeah. Food products. And
I'm going to go on a limb here and think that the very first product you were selling or very first food item you were selling was not a cookie.
It was not a cookie. So it was actually my own products that I made in baggies.
What was it?
I was doing little mixes of nuts, and like we call this like a trail mix. I made 3 different kinds of trail mix.
Oh wow, that's fascinating. What so for yourself? What was that one dish that you made that everybody started going, "Wow, this is amazing"?
Yeah, I it's really when I create dishes for people based on their flavors. Like if I come up to your place and I'm serving you and cooking for like 2 weeks at the house and stuff, I'll kind of figure out what you love, and then I'll invent a dish just for Fong. And you will talk about that for the rest of your life. Like, oh my God, the White House chef invented like this just for me. And I did that for everybody. So even like Hillary Clinton, one day I told her first lady, tonight for the salad, I have actually invented a brand new salad dressing for you. And it's all centered around your favorite food. And she was like, oh my gosh, what did you make? I was like, I made a mango salad dressing for you, First Lady. And she was like, oh, I love mango. A salad dressing? Marty. She was like, we go to rubber chicken circuit dinners every night of the week at every embassy. I mean, it gets really boring. They have, and she held out her hand. She was like, they have the same dressings. Okay, ranch, Thousand Island, French, blue cheese, maybe a Russian. Oh, and the raspberry vinaigrette. I've never heard of a mango vinaigrette. Bill was sitting over there just drumming his fingers. He looked like he was so angry. That's very cute, Marty. You invented a salad dressing for the First Lady of the United States. That's so tender and nice, Marty. Did you think about inventing anything for the presidency, the president of the United States? Did you invent a little salad dressing for me, Chef Marty? And he looked like he was really angry, bro. And there was like dead air that I felt like was like lasted 10 minutes long, bro. And he was just sitting there drumming his fingers.
It's like, yes, Clinton Ranch.
I was like, yes, sir, I did. And I reached back behind me. Here's a banana vinaigrette for you, sir, your favorite. So all the luncheons and dinners for hundreds of people in Washington, D.C., San Francisco, Chicago, Tokyo that my wife and I do. I'm telling you right now, Fong, those 2 dressings, the Clinton banana vinaigrette and the mango vinaigrette, are out on every table. And just to play fair, every company that hires us, they also put the Trump dressing out so that they don't get in trouble. So those 3 dressings are usually on every table of every event that we do. Everybody is just so fascinated with that story. And Bill was hilarious. He shook his finger at me. He was like, I could have sworn tonight was the night we fired you, Marty. But okay, you're all right. You're gonna make it through one more night. He was just kidding, so it was just fun stuff like that, right? Focus on the guest.
You've even outlasted like many presidencies then.
Yeah, this is the 6th president I've worked with for a variety of issues. This Biden, and I never thought in my wildest dreams that he would become a president ever.
You probably have some fascinating stories with the people that you served. Who was the most easiest that you served?
Stories, bro.
who was the easiest to please, and who was, I don't know if you could share, the most finicky, the most nitpicky person to serve?
Yeah, I really think the easiest person ever to serve, for me, growing up mostly Italian, with Italians screaming in the house every holiday for Christmas and for Thanksgiving. They had the American dishes, but they had to have their indigenous, ravioli with red sauce. So as a kid, you grow up like this. It's like, well, my family is from here. They're from, Taiwan. Oh, that family is from Nairobi. Oh, this family, the Mongiellos, are mostly Italian. So we had like the fun stuff out, the turkey, the ham that the Americans eat, but we also had our indigenous dishes. And I was wondering if you grew up that way. Did you have any heritage dishes that were always at your holidays?
Well, it's a lot of Chinese food for me. So,
So yeah, I mean, this is like, I think, with everybody, no matter where they're from. And so when Oscar Luigi Scalfaro came to the United States, the Italian president, and had a big Italian state dinner at the White House, I think honestly he was the easiest to cook for, because you're doing Italian dishes, and these are things that you're kind of used to eating, tasting. Like if I was to ask you, hey Fong, how do you think the dish should taste? Like chicken fried rice or something, you would be like, oh yeah, Marty, I'm not an expert and a chef, but I could probably advise you on that.
yeah.
Hey Fong, have you ever had long noodle soup, around Chinese New Year? Of course, Marty, we know that one. So when I'm doing the Italian dishes for an Italian president, it was pretty easy, to tell you the truth. I think our most finicky, to answer your question, the most finicky, difficult to please was Nancy Reagan.
Oh, wow.
She was super, super precise, and she loved everything painted with this jelly that we call aspic. It was a very French method where all of the food is painted with a see-through jelly called
Wow.
aspic. She was in love with aspic. So
That is absolutely fascinating. Now, you're not only cooking for elite individuals here, right? You are a very amazing business strategist, marketing strategist person as well. You've worked with some amazing companies, as we can see in your background there. How did
yes.
that come about? Like you go from cooking for presidents to helping companies with the marketing campaign.
Well, I mean, at some time, you're going to realize, like, I was in the military. Okay. So wasn't making a lot of money, 30 years retired American military. You don't get paid a lot of money. So I was always thinking, like, hey, I'll have a marketing company that I'll do at night and on the weekends and make extra money. Okay. And so I had to put in like a special request sheet. And if in the American military, if you're an enlisted person, you are allowed to work another job. If you are an officer, a commissioned officer, it's forbidden by law.
Wow.
You're not allowed to have a second job doing anything, no other source of income. So I felt lucky, like I was enlisted, and I knew that someday I was going to retire. I mean, I retired, I was 39 years old in 2004. I retired from the military. I went in when I was 17, okay? And I had been planning and building, and even out of boredom, like during Operation Iraqi Freedom Fong and Operation Enduring Freedom for Afghanistan, I was, thinking to myself, like, I'm out here in the Arabian Gulf, sitting around at night. Do I want to sit here and watch like TV all night long? Or do I want to teach myself business plan writing? Do I want to start to learn how to do 60 pages of pro forma? Do I want to come to understand terms like break even and industry comparables and how to do all this? Because you're going to retire, and it's like you can either go to work in like a greasy spoon. And I have a really good friend. He's very rich. He's running a greasy spoon. Okay. Or you could go to work doing something that maybe in your 70s and 80s you could still have income, because you can't really do this chef thing standing up for 80 hours a week in your 70s and 80s. You can't carry 50-pound cases of meat up 2 flights of steps, like unloading an 18-wheeler in your 70s and 80s, and carrying 50-pound cases of meat for 2.5 hours, unloading an 18-wheeler with 17 other chefs.
Yeah.
There's comes a limit physically to where you're not going to be able to stand erect for 80 hours a week any longer. And Fong, I've worked 126-hour work weeks at Camp David.
Wow.
18 hours a day times 7. I tell people, you don't need a calculator. I'll just tell you right now, 18 hours a day times 7, it's 126. I know. Okay. So there comes an idea in your head, like, maybe I can be planning on something. And that's when I decided, when I retire under the post 9/11 GI Bill, Fong, let me get educated. Let me get, a bachelor's degree. Let me get my master's degree under the post 9/11 GI Bill. You start to go to work. I'm going to need the degrees and the education, and I'm studying for my doctorate right now.
Wow. Never stop learning, eh?
No.
So during that period of time, you were in the military, you start to go, hey, wait a minute, I should start working on other stuff so that I have a backup plan. At the same
Yes, a
time, you're
future.
inventing food. And then somehow from there, you get into Camp David as a GM. Then you also get into being a hotel and museum CEO. So how did those two come about?
Yes. So they each presented themselves at different times. And I think one of the big success stories for everybody out there worldwide, because I know you have listeners and viewers across all 205 countries and territories. You and I met in Australia on an Australian show, right? So, I think the big thing there was when opportunity knocks, you've got to answer. And I answered all the time. In fact, I answer my phone, I check my own mail, and a lot of the 2% homes and family offices with private homes that I go to consult or to help them create Downton Abbey or to hire the right people and sometimes to fire the wrong people that they're sick of, okay? They'll call me and say, hey, Marty, I want you to come in and get rid of these people and then hire a brand new team. Sick of them, okay? When I get there, it's amazing letting people answer the phone for them, going through their mail, going down to the post office boxes, getting all their mail. And this is where a lot of bad stuff happens when you're not answering the phone and you are not reachable and you start to detach yourself to a whole staff underneath you, even starting with one personal assistant who's running, all your calls and stuff, you become detached.
Right.
You're no longer answering the phone. When opportunity knocks, you're not answering.
Yeah.
Somebody else is. So this can be a dangerous situation. And yeah, I mean, I've had clients tell me they're rifling through my mail for like the past year, Marty, and it's not good. I missed several opportunities. They hid 3 lawsuits from me.
Wow.
There were other people that contacted that wanted to do like a product endorsement because you're not any longer answering opportunity. You've got other nincompoops answering all of your phones, and you're out of touch, you're unreachable, and there's no way to contact you. So you become kind of like the person who misses out on a lot of opportunities. So even today, like Fong, I'll have people tell me it's amazing. I can't believe I'm talking to Chef Marty. We've been talking on the phone for 30 minutes. I'm like, well, why wouldn't we? You're coming to stay here. You're booking a room. I still answer the phone. I don't answer the phone every call. But and why is it so weird that I'm talking with you for 30 minutes?
Mhm.
Well, it's just a little obscure for a White House chef to spend this much time. It's 32 minutes now. It's like, but you're a guest. I'm here to serve you. So these are some big principles I would say about opportunity knocks, and being approachable, being reachable, and answering that opportunity when it knocks. And I always reacted. I mean, I had an admiral call me one time, Fong, and said, you are presently living in Hawaii, in Honolulu. I know you moved there from Japan. You've been living there now for about a year. I was happy to catch up to you in Texas. Are you still in Texas right now? I'm like, yes, I am. I'm inspecting the culinary school for the world here. There's about 20 chefs, senior chefs. We're here inspecting. How can I help you, Admiral? He says, could you fly back to Hawaii and within 6 days clear your entire home, drive your car up onto a container ship, pack 2 suitcases and meet me in Brussels, Belgium? I was like, I think I could beat you there, sir. I could beat you. It's going to take about 2 days of flights because we have to like land in Atlanta and this and that and wait and blah, blah, blah. I'm probably going to have to go to San Francisco first and then to Atlanta. And then I'll probably, if I'm lucky, either from New York or whatever, straight to Brussels, etc. I beat him there. Okay. I never knew my watch, Fong, was exactly the same time from Hawaii to Brussels. It was the only good thing. I didn't need to change my watch. Exactly the same time. So and he was like, you could actually be there because I have a dinner I have to serve in the European Union within like 3 weeks. I have to produce and serve an American dinner. Could you do that? I was like, absolutely, sir. the beautiful typed menus, everything. Okay. Don't worry about anything. So opportunity knocks, you answer, but do you react?
That is absolutely amazing. So like the hotel, the museum stuff, they're like, hey, you want to come in as CEO and you run everything kind of thing?
They
Like,
they actually, the hotel, when I was 22, they offered to send me to hotel school
oh
in
wow.
Memphis, Tennessee, and I went there for 6 weeks and graduated. And then I went and moved to Florida, in Pensacola, Florida, and I ran a 1,500 room hotel to Top World Awards for 2 straight years in a row, the best hotel in the world. And so, it's like you go get the training and then you go actually do the job. And then I come back to the nuclear submarine fleet. I was underwater on 2 submarines. And then that's when my captain of the submarine, Patrick J. Casey, the USS Asheville, he said, we want to put you up with the Secretary of the Navy for White House staff mess duty to work at the White House and work in the White House military office. And for the time being, while you're waiting, we're going to send you to restaurant management school.
Wow.
You're going to go there for 6 weeks and graduate that. And so I was like, wow, I mean, this is like unbelievable. I never even heard of a Navy chef working in why is a Navy chef working in the White House, Captain? They have like famous chefs that work there, French chefs. And he's like, oh, no, 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 no. We have like 75 United States Navy chefs that run 2 restaurants under the Oval Office. I was like, get the hell out of here. 2 restaurants under the Oval Office. How come I've never heard about this? How come no one's heard about this? Okay. He's like, well, I don't know why anyone's not heard about it in society, but it's true.
Wow.
We serve about 600 people per day, all from the West Wing, all from the White House staff. I was like, boy, this is really weird, This must be like the best kept damn secret in the world, He's like, well, we also run the Camp David Resort, Marty. We also run the Vice President's house, is at the Naval Observatory, where Kamala Harris lives and all the vice presidents have lived. It's at the end of Embassy Row in Washington, D.C. I don't know how you don't know these things. I was like, well, I don't know either, Captain. What would this take? And he said, well, you won't have to do a cooking tryout. We're not going to have any Iron Chef tryouts. Everybody already knows you're a fan. You're carving ice blocks with chainsaws. You're making freaking 4-foot-long cakes with trains driving around on the top of them. HO scale gauge trains. You're electrifying cakes. I don't know how you do that. The last damn thing anybody wants you to do is cook anything. The real thing, the problem with this is going to be the investigation into your whole family and your wife's family.
Wow.
They're going to crawl through your ears and come out somewhere else. So if you don't want this level of intrusion into your past and you have 2 drug waivers on your record, okay, you might want to go on ahead and bail out now. I was like, no, it wouldn't be intrusive, sir. What would I need to do? And he said, Fong, well, you have to turn in 2 references of humans that you hung out with for every week of your life for the past 10 years.
Oh, wow.
I was like, 2 references, like with the name and the address and the phone number. And, he's like, yeah, all that email, all that stuff, where they're living now. And can you do that? I was like, well, that would be 52 weeks in a year, 520 weeks, 2 people per week. That would be 1,040. He's like, very good, math. 1,040 character references, Captain, with their name, their address, their phone number, and email of where they're living now. He's like, that's right. For the past 10 years, that's what I said. 2 people per week, where you went bowling with them, you went to church with them, you were in a coffee clutch, a book club. I was like, is there anybody you can't use? He was like, there is. Here's a list of the people you can't use. I was looking at it and I'm like, let me see. They had a list of people you can't use.
Wow.
I was like, this is like, how much time would I have to get this freaking list together, sir. He's like, take all the time in the world. Take 2 months, take 4 months, take your time. The
Well,
question is, again, which you didn't answer, Martin, do you want to bail out today? Because they're going to send 2 agents around from the Secret Service. They're going to refuse to take the sunglasses off in the suits, even while they're sitting inside for an hour, interviewing your grade school teachers, the priests at the church, everybody. Okay. They're going to find out everything about you. Do you want people doing this all over your town where you were born and raised and everywhere you've lived since then? Is this what you want to do? Yes or no? I was like, I think I do, Captain. I would like to do it. And you know what I found out, Fong? The day I went for the interview, 56 Navy chefs, the biggest chefs, admiral chefs, aircraft carrier chefs, chefs that were working in the Pentagon, like half of that audience disappeared. They left.
well,
They left the building. When they found out how intrusive this was going to be, I think some of them were actually kind of scared, Fong.
that is very.
So that's how you get the jobs, and opportunity knocks, and it's like, it took about 14 months before I was finally finished with the human resources and allowed to come to work. It was about 14 months later, bro.
So when you're in, was there any point in that moment where you go, either one, this is where I should be, or two, I don't belong here?
Yeah, both actually. So the first 2 weeks you're scared to death. Okay. And just, like the president coming into the kitchen at Camp David, because they have a massive private home there called Aspen. It's the president's house. It's the closest thing to having like your own cute little house, with a pool out back and shrubbery and leaves blowing around. And, of course, there's somebody freaking out about every 4 minutes. As soon as the president turns their back, they run over there and pick up the leaf, There's a leaf. 6'2", I see it. There's a leaf blowing on the parapet now. They'll actually run over there, bro, and pick it up. Just when the person turns their back, okay? So you're watching all of this for like the first 2 weeks, And at one point, H.W. Bush came up to Camp David, to the resort, and was very pissed off and angry that they had gotten rid of all the leaves. Which, now let me tell you how we get rid of leaves across the wide open expanse of, like 6 acres of open grass. You get a cordon of United States Navy Seabees, like 100 in a row, each one with a leaf blower. And you're watching 100 humans, men and women humans, blowing across like 6 acres, progressively pushing every leaf, and they'll get them out there like a second and a third time, 20 minutes, and you're listening to all this traffic. 6-1, 6-1, they're in the air preparing to land. 4.5 minutes, they're out there doing it like a third time. And H.W. Bush landed, and he was enraged because he's like, where's all the leaves? The grandkids are coming up here this weekend. They want to build leaf piles with leaf forts. Where are all the leaves? So guess what? Guess what, Fong?
They go and grab them all and bring it back in.
In the middle of the night, you've got all these Marines and Seabees out there in the woods getting leaves in 44-gallon bags like Santa Claus, carrying them out into the middle of the grass. And this is like 2:30 in the morning, dumping all the leaves, making a pile. And of course, the commanding officer comes up to the president in the morning. Yes, Mr. President, we got some leaves out there for you, sir, for the kids. Oh, good. Where's the nuclear briefcase right now? Oh, we'll have them bring it in, sir. Good. Are you done? Yes, Mr. President, I'm finished. I just wanted to tell you about the leaves. Great. Heard it about the leaves. Thank you. Bring in the case. Bring in the nuclear football right now. And this is kind of how. So I mean, honestly, Fong, the first 2 weeks I was scared to freaking death. Okay, I was scared to death. I was 28 years old. I was pretty impressionable. I was pretty freaking scared.
Because like you mentioned before, when opportunity knocks, you jump into it. You kind of look into it. You want to see how that works out and all that kind of stuff. But you also have to face challenges. You're facing anxiety. You're facing pressure. How do you deal with that type of pressure, especially at such a high level?
Yeah, I think I just was relying really on the system at that point. It was a very well-oiled, trusted system. And I think that's an important thing to look at if you're going to enter into a new business deal, if you're going to do a joint venture agreement, if you're going to take a new job. Like, how strong is the system? Okay. Is it a startup where nobody even knows like how the relationships are going to work with FTX, and they're asking you to move to the Bahamas, and everybody's actually coupled up with someone? They said there were 10 main core members, and each one of them had a girlfriend, and maybe it was group sex going on. They're really not sure yet with Sam Bankman-Friedman, or is it that you're getting a job offer for Hewlett Packard International and they want Fong to move to the London office? Okay, you're thinking, well, HP, they're pretty successful. I could maybe take the IBM job, I have an offer from them. And then there's, Huawei. All three of them actually have a pretty good oiled system with pay and payroll and HR. They probably have a playbook to follow from. It's a dicey situation, if you throw yourself into the cauldron, you have to be ready. Like, Groupon was great. And we had the guy riding around on the bicycle inside the office building every day. People thought it was cute and funny until they almost went bankrupt. And then they said, now we're going to have to bring some adults in here to actually run this place and make a profit. Okay. So, I mean, I think it's a dicey situation, and you want to make the best decision you can, you know?
Well, like, and obviously the system's working very well with you because you still have a very, very strong positive attitude. Like watching you speak, you always have the sparkle in your eye. You're smiling, you're having fun, and you've been there working on high pressure stuff for a very, very long time. One of the things I also want to mention is that fact that you know lots of different languages too. And I think that ties into your energy, your positivity, because you're able to communicate so well with so
Yeah.
many different people.
Sometimes I get them wrong. You're thinking in Korean and you're saying like, Arabic, and it's like, you stupid dummy. And other times, we went, like, I took my wife to Japan where I lived for many years. And at one point she said to me like, hey, come here. I was like, what is it, babe? She's like, you're starting to really leave me out for long stretches. You're not interpreting anymore. You're speaking all this Japanese, it going like 10, 15 minutes talking, and I'm just sitting over here. And I was like, I'm speaking Japanese like that long? She's like, yeah, you are. I was like, I don't even know I knew like that much Japanese. I think it's because I'm around Dean, my buddy, and we're back here now. It's starting to freaking come back. I'm so sorry. I'll start interpreting more, and I think that's really the secret, is when you get there, like in France or Italy, you start remembering more and start speaking more. And when you're not there, you're forgetting more, you know.
So how many language are you fluent in?
Oh God, fluent, I would say English one. Okay, but learning languages at least functional to get by like 11,
Oh wow.
and not because I wanted to, but because I had to. And once it was well known that I was good at it, then when I was living in Japan, my admiral called me in his office. He used to scream down the hallway, Marty! Everybody was like, holy crap, dude, he's yelling for you again. Get down there. And I would go down there and I would kind of like slink by the chief of staff's office, and he was a captain. He was in there looking at me like, because it was like, I'm sorry, Captain, the admiral's yelling for me. He's like, yeah, get in there. You little bastard. And I was just a chief.
Uh,
I was a chief petty officer. So I went in there, hey, Admiral, what's going on? Sit down. I was like, I'll just stand here at attention. He's like, no, you won't. Sit down. I was like, all right, I'll just stand here at ease then. He's like, sit down. I was like, okay, Admiral, I'll sit down. What is it, Admiral? I want you to get on a plane today. Why are we still talking? I was like, I'm not even sure where I'm flying, Admiral, but do you want me to get in the car? I'll call you from the back seat of the car. Yeah, why don't you do that? Literally on the way to Narita Airport in Tokyo. I want you to fly into Jordan and meet with the king. I was like, to do what, sir? We're going to sign a free trade agreement with them. It'll be the 5th country in the world that America signs an FTA with. I want you to set this whole thing up and learn how to speak Arabic and get everything going, okay? Clinton's going to sign an FTA with these people, and they'll be the first Muslim country in the world's history that the United States has a free trade agreement with. Can you do that, Marty? I was like, absolutely, sir. And I'll do some of the food too. Yeah, figure out what they eat, that hummus stuff with the pita. Do all that. Figure that all out. Make it right. Make sure it's right. Don't get anything wrong. They only eat with the right hand, and get all that stuff right. Okay. I was like, yes, sir. No problem. When you move to Japan, Fong, people were pissed off that Obama bowed in front of the emperor. I don't know if you remember this all in the news when he bowed in front of the emperor. Oh my God, in the United States, there were so many people angry that he did that. I'm like, why are they angry? It's part of a custom bowing in Asia. It's very, easy to do. It's complimentary. It's honoring other people. It doesn't matter if they're younger than you, older than you, and how you bow and how deep you bow. And you have to figure all that out, don't you? Okay, yeah. It's very important. And I was always very good at this. For some reason, they were always calling, get that guy, the Italian guy, Mongiello, or whatever the hell his name is. Get him over here to Korea. We had to fire the last American. He thought he was John Wayne, wearing 6-shooters over here. And we want this very successful guy who's very respectful. I was like, okay, I'll come over to Seoul. I'll set up the whole $86 million contract, all the trucking, all over the country. We have like 46 bases forts there, America in South Korea. I'm like, what is the problem? Oh, the last guy that was here was an asshole. I was, well, yeah, I think he got sent back to the United States early. What didn't he do right? He didn't know how to eat. He's real loud. He's crass. He took somebody's business card. They gave him the business card. You know what he did with it? I'm like, don't tell me he put it in his pocket. That's exactly, he put it. I'm like, a business card is a person's soul in Asia. You're supposed to preferably hold it like this.
Wow.
And honor it. And usually I would look at it for at least 10 to 15 minutes. If you take somebody's soul and put it into your pocket, the deal is done, bro.
Wow.
You will never get anything if you do that. And so it's like little things like that. It's like, why can't somebody learn how to do that? And all this stuff this week with the FIFA, in Qatar,
yeah,
and all this disrespect and everything. It's like, it's not that hard. Like, oh, people are angry because the games are starting at 10 in the morning. Now, how dumb is that, Fong? Well, they're still drunk and hungover, and they want to be able to party and booze with open liquor in the streets, and the Qataris won't let them doing it. I'm like, why do you need to booze and be drunk in the streets in another person's country? You don't need to do that.
Right.
Well, it's part of the sport and what they like to do. I'm like, no, it's not. They don't like that. You don't do that in Singapore. You don't spit on the ground. You'll be put in prison. You get caught spitting on a camera on the ground, you'll be put in prison. You'll be arrested. Okay. You can't spit gum out, none of that stuff. But I'm like, always thinking, Fong, why is this so difficult to respect other people's beliefs, religions? It's not that hard. It's not that hard. It's all about getting along and teaming with everyone in the world. I don't think that this is that hard to do.
Right. Now, you mentioned before you're on in the backseat of a car heading towards the airport when the person told you to learn the language, to learn the culture, and get everything right.
Yes,
We're
Admiral
talking
Kroll, Joseph J. Kroll Jr.
we're talking hours. So obviously, you found a way to learn languages and absorb information fast. How do you
Yes.
do that?
I think honestly, you look for the best systems, whether it's software language. I'm learning probably like you, at least 3 programs a month or a quarter. They come out, it's like, wow, this is really cool. I should learn this language, this software language. I should learn how to do this coding, programming, whether it's WYSIWYG, whatever. Last year I started teaching myself how to be a film producer and a videographer.
Oh, wow.
Making my own films. I've made 3 films now, making my own videos. And I think sometimes the way that you do this is out of necessity is the mother of all invention, right? That's an old axiom. Necessity is the mother of all invention. So yeah, you can go like to New York or San Fran or Chicago, and you can hire a videographer for 300 per hour. Okay. Or you could learn how to do it yourself. So is it going to suck? Yes, it is. Is it going to be messed up and wrong? Yes, it is. Are you going to get better as you do it little by little by little? Yes, you are. Okay. Elon Musk just recently said the reason the first couple of rockets crashed and fell to the ground and exploded, he was very honest. He said, the reason is because we couldn't afford the good scientists. They all wanted about 270 to 300 per year. And the ones who were available, they were all willing to accept about 100, 110 per year. But that's why they were available, because they sucked. So he said, who sucked even worse? Was me, Elon Musk. I designed the first couple of rockets like an idiot, learning the language of science and fusion and fission and things. I had no idea what the hell I was doing. That's why the rockets crashed. Now I don't know too many people that like that answer, Fong. It's like, wow, yeah. Hey, Tesla wasn't profitable for what, 16 years?
Right.
Stuff takes time, and you build a little bit, and you can at least learn how to say a few words. Thank you in Chinese, xie xie. You can learn a few words at least to compliment other people and to let them know the universal language of respect.
Well,
You may not even be able to understand what they're saying at all. I was reading a manga book at a Japanese restaurant this weekend. Bro, I don't read the 50,000 characters in kanji. It's about 50,000 characters. A high school student learns about 15,000 by the time they graduate high school. And it's expected over a lifetime that a human will learn about 30,000 kanji characters. I was reading the manga book. I really didn't understand a lot what I was reading, but you can see from the pictures what's happening and the drawings and the maps and,
yeah. Wow. Man, this time has flown by very, very fast. I just want to hear you speak and tell stories all day. But before we let you go, I know you have a video you wanted to share.
Yeah. We got the Obamas here. So this is just one of our episodes. We can have some laughs if the viewers feel like laughing out there. This one is called "Hey Barry, Pick Up Your Stinky Socks," and that's we call the president Barry. Not to his face, but even right now with Biden, we call him Pops. And somebody was on my back the other, like, you shouldn't like talk like that out loud. I was like, well, why? That's his name, Pops. Okay, that's what we call him. I bet you don't call that to his face. I'm like, well, no, we don't. But on his ball cap, he has embroidered on the back, Pops. Okay, I'm not being disrespectful. So President Obama, we called him Barry, and let me share my screen here. I think it's disabled right now, so if we can enable that, that'll be great. And I am going to put this on this episode.
Yeah, we're good.
We'll have a couple of laughs with this, and let me make sure. Yeah, the sound is optimized for the video clip and everything here, so that we get a really good a good share. And I'll stop it for a second just to make sure that you can hear this audio coming through, Fong.
Yep.
Let's make sure the viewers can hear this.
CJ Mongiello from the United States Presidential Culinary Museum, and welcome to another.
Are you getting that over there? Can you hear that?
I am getting it. The video is kind of choppy though.
Okay. Let me just make sure.
And that might be because of the shared screen.
It could possibly be, yeah. Let me do this. Let me make sure that we have this thing optimized for everybody. I'm going to stop the share one more time. And yeah, let me just make sure. Okay, that's good. And let's share that there. And I'm going to just let this thing rip, and I think I'll inflate it full screen too.
Another episode of Inside the President's Cabinet. Today we're super lucky to have Chef Mindy Morrow with us.
Welcome.
And we are going to be looking at, hey Barry, pick up your stinky socks. So quite a funny episode today about President Obama. And we're super lucky down here, Mindy, to feature the Chicago dog. And I know you have not ever enjoyed one, but you have seen them. They're that famous.
I have seen them, yes.
Yeah. Here in Charlotte, by the way, we have a Chicago dog restaurant. Who'da thunk, right? Has to have, of course, the Vienna brand celery salt on it, or you are in a lot of trouble. And also the full-length pickle, the sport peppers. We use an emerald green relish. Don't ever do anything other than steam the Chicago dog. It has to be steamed. Mindy, if you barbecue it, you know what they call it?
It's not a Chicago dog.
It's a char dog.
A char dog.
So this is a classic mistake that many people make. Well, how about Michelle? Well, Michelle has a very famous dish, her uncreamed creamed spinach. Get it? Very healthy. Always making sure they're eating healthy. Down here we have the president's famous beer. He loves a Goose 312. This is a wheat ale. And you will notice his bet with David Cameron that the American soccer team is better than yours. And I guarantee we will win. And so they each put up a case of beer. No, you're wrong. I'm sure we're going to win, Barry. Okay? So I'll put up a case also. Crazy thing, Mindy, they tied.
Same thing the other day, right? Another tie.
And so then they said, you know, just to heck with it, Barry, we'll give each other a case of beer for free. So that's what they did. They made this bet at the G20 summit. This is a very famous bet. People love all these things and intricacies. Also, the only president ever to be featured on the front cover of The Amazing Spider-Man. We have an original copy here. And if you guys are looking at the price, I think I paid $25.25. Let me tell you, that comic is worth several $100s now. Okay, so super lucky to get that. Also, very, very fortunate to include this exhibit in our No Darkies Sit in this section of the bus, which the famous Carl White also has interviewed the author of that book. And Orlando Herrera talked all about this exhibit and featuring President Obama with the dedication of the Rosa Parks statue and why he wrote the book. And of course, the president sat in the original bus, Mindy. Well, what a photo that was to see a black president sitting in the black section.
And today, Fong, is the day she was arrested, December 1st.
And with that, I would just say,
the anniversary.
The Barbie dolls. Mindy, did you play with Barbie?
Oh, of course. And my daughter loves her Barbie dolls now.
Well, we were lucky. Remember, I asked you for help to try and get the Rosa Parks Barbie doll. And we tried to get it for the museum exhibit, and they were all sold out. So for all you folks at home, we were finally able to get one of the Rosa Parks dolls. And this is from the famous ladies of the world, the Rosa Parks Barbie doll from Mattel. Now, I mentioned that this episode was, hey Barry, pick up your stinky socks. And hilarious to find out that the kids, his daughters and Michelle, have often mentioned that Daddy leaves his stinky socks around the house. And so that he refuses to pick
You
them
don't
up.
do that, right,
and
Fong?
Also, the president does not unplug toilets. This is one of Michelle's complaints in public that she has made, and it makes the audience laugh out loud. So the snorry and stinky that the kids often use to refer to daddy is just hilarious to find out. And President Obama, like W, admitted that he abused drugs and alcohol as a teen. And he graduated from Punahou, a very elite high school in Hawaii, where I lived, in 1979. So I just always mention this during my speeches to people, that you can actually be troubled and have challenges and overcome them and put those things behind you. But trying to pretend that you're a perfect person and have never done
Look at that little guy, Fong.
really doesn't work for all of us. So this president did overcome many, many challenges. Hey, thanks, friends, so much for joining us again. I really appreciate it. You can subscribe right down there. We would love for you to subscribe, so click on subscribe. And looking forward to seeing you again real soon for another episode of Inside the President's Cabinet.
All right, Fong, I'm going to turn that off and send it back to you, sir. But we had promised the viewers that, we would have a short episode today to share with them. And that's one of the funnier ones. Hey, Barry, pick up your stinky socks. We're coming up on 20,000 subscribers right now on our YouTube site. And our show is called Inside the President's Cabinet. It's kind of like House of Cards for all the presidents. So we're showcasing all 46 of them. I cook all of their dishes. And when I work with an event at a hotel or a resort, anywhere in the world, that's what we do. We figure out, what dishes do you want to serve? Which presidents do you want to highlight? And what would you like for me to talk about? And then, so the audience kind of gets a keynote speech, but they also get to enjoy an entire dinner. So it's kind of fun, because the odds and chances are of them having a White House chef's dinner, like tonight, the French-American state dinner at the White House tonight, the odds of being invited to a White House chef's dinner are pretty slim, and so this is an opportunity to share some of the most famous recipes in the world.
Wow, that's very, very fascinating. I gotta say, one of the most fascinating interviews I've done, and I've just got so much from this episode, and was very, very fortunate to have you here. But before I let you go, I got a few more quick things, rapid fire things for you to answer. And then if you could share with us some contact stuff or how to reach out and all that kind of stuff,
sure.
That'd be great. So one last formal question is, what is one message that you would like to share with the world so that they can remember Marty for?
I really think it's Linda Duong's message out of Australia. Love, love, love. 3 hearts. Love is the message for all of us, and acceptance and coexistence and respect for other people's religions and customs and heritage, the way they eat, the way they talk. We're not here to laugh at one another and make fun of people. We have to accept and honor other people and love, love, love. So 3 hearts of love.
Great. Normally this question, I'm very I'm usually excited about these questions because I get to hear a little bit more about what they do. But then with you, you're an expert in food, so I'm very, very excited to hear your answers. You're stranded on a deserted island, one food to eat for the rest of your life, no consequence. What would that be?
Yeah, I'm almost thinking that maybe peanut butter is going to be safe. So because you got the protein,
Now,
Yeah.
Now you serve for some of the most elite people in the world. If you were to serve your most favorite dish, what is that dish?
Yeah, I just love the mahi mahi that I do, and it's over jasmine rice, and we kind of make a Polynesian version of it. So black and white sesame seeds, excellent, Polynesian marinade. It's one of the most famous dishes. And then I do a Polynesian salsa on top of that. So you got the searing, sizzling, hot fish, okay, But then you have on top of that this beautiful Polynesian salsa, which you can make. I mean, if you do like a sweet onion that's sweated, the red pepper, the diced kiwi, the diced pineapple, you start putting, I've even done like diced banana in the past with this ice cold salsa on top. It's really a lot of fun, and people are just amazed with that dish. So
who is one person that you have not cooked for that you would love to cook for?
I guess, Harry Styles. I've been writing to him and to his publicist and his agent in Los Angeles. And we had some chefs that came here from England that I cooked for, and they graduated at our school, in fact, and they work right now on the castle and at the estate for Her Royal Highness Sophie, Princess Sophie.
Mm-hmm.
And so I actually pitched an event to Harry Styles and the Earl and Her Majesty, to go on ahead and do like an American barbecue event, but in England with Harry Styles as the premier act. So my wife and I love Harry Styles. And if we could turn it into a fundraiser for good to benefit something good in the world, like Ukraine or something, that would be really cool. Or Pakistan, with the floods. I thought that would be really cool. So Harry Styles.
You mean by now you still need to request to cook for somebody? Don't they just line up and go, yes, yes?
They it's difficult to reach everybody in the world. Who's this wacko with the fake letters? It's got to be a fraud. I have so many people tell me, like, we thought you were a fake and a fraud for like 3 months of contact, until we finally decided, and we had like the executive assistant call. We just couldn't believe that this was actually true, that you would fly on our aircraft, and cook in the sky for the whole family, on our jumbo $300 million 787. I was like, well, why wouldn't I? Can I come on the yacht also when we land in Paris and you drive down to Nice? Can I come on the yacht with my wife and we'll cook for like a week too? My goodness, and I mean, how cool is that to get paid to cook in the air and on a yacht at sea in the Mediterranean for a week? It's like, it's an honor, and I get paid at the same time.
Exactly. Well, I can't imagine anybody saying no to having you cook for them. So I'm sure that's going to come to fruition very, very soon. Now, you're also in film now. You're going to be producing. You're going to be doing a whole bunch of stuff. Who is one celebrity actor, actress that you would like to co-star with?
Co-star, I think, honestly, if we could get John Bon Jovi to come to the White House one more time. He's come a couple of times. I've cooked for him at the White House.
Oh.
His real name is John. I think it's John Bon Giovanni. He has a real Italian name. I think his wife is fascinating too. She's a black belt who will kick someone's ass. And one night at the White House, they asked him, like, John Bon Jovi, what are you doing here, sir? He's like, oh, actually, I'm not John Bon Jovi. I'm one of the staff that works here. And they had a bunch of people that are no-shows. So they were calling the staff list just to fill up seats. And they were like, no, you're not. You're John Bon Jovi. Stop it, sir. He's like, I am. I just was kidding. His wife was like, you got to stop like screwing around with people, John. So I just think he's funny as hell, Fong.
Nice. Last question, but before I get there, 1 to 5, a number.
Give me 5, please. 5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. So if you were to relate success to chalk art, how is success like chalk art?
If I can't bring my daughter in, she's a chalk art expert. I'm gonna probably not do so well. I tend to, when I'm out there, doing the chalk art, I tend to scrape up and burn up my fingers. And our daughter Raina, she'll go out there and do these huge, like 10 foot by 10 foot chalk art, and she'll stand there like about 10 feet away from it, and then she'll approach it, and with her 3-dimensional artist's mind, she's able to proportionately draw immediately correct proportion one time. Wow. On a 10 foot by 10 foot, looking down at the ground, bro. And other people are coming by like, oh, wow. how old is this kid? I'm like, this kid is like 12 years old. How does she draw that like that, correctly like that? I'm like, I don't freaking know, bro. The one time she did it in one take. So
Wow, very, very fascinating. Thank you very much for your time, your stories. There was a lot of golden nuggets in your stories, a lot of great lessons in there. So thank you very much for that.
thank you, Fong.
Any last words from you? And what's the best way to connect with you if anybody wants to reach out?
I would just say have a great new year. Don't forget, we have 2 New Years. Celebrate both of them. Suck it up. As soon as I tell people, like, look, man, do the New Year's for New Year's, and then do New Year's all over again for Chinese New Year. Have 2 New Years. Do the Christmas, and then do the Orthodox Christmas. Here at this house, we have like 2 holidays times 2, 4 holidays. Everybody's excited because it's double the presents, double the fun. Get into other people's holidays and things. And we're at InsideThePresident'sCabinet.com. That's the name of our show, Inside the President's Cabinet. So InsideThePresident'sCabinet.com.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Oh, what would you get the president for Christmas?
You know, the best thing to get for the president, since they have everything, honestly, sometimes if it was H.W. Bush, it was the weirdest, craziest socks. He was a big sock lover. So I've got socks with, like, you know, Yeti riding on a bicycle drinking a beer socks, you know, the craziest, funniest socks. If you can find out something like some little fetish or peccadillo that they really enjoy and like, you know, those are the funnest gifts, something to make them laugh. And then they'll wear them around. Hey, did you check out my socks? I've got hula girls dancing on them today, you know, and so, you know, something fun. They have everything. Get them something funny.
Awesome. Once again, thank you very much for your time, your stories. Learned a lot, had a lot of fun myself. Yeah, for everybody out there, make sure you tune into his channel, subscribe to his channel. As you saw, the episode was amazing. Lots of great things there, lots of fun, and I'm sure you'll learn a lot as well. So he is Martin Mongiello. My name is Fong Chua. Until next time, today is the day to lock your peak potential. We'll see you later.
Thank you.